This is a training session regarding entering and processing accounts receivable progress billings. A progress billing is an invoice sent to the customer which reflects the progress made so far on the job. In order to enter progress billings, we select Invoices from the Accounts Receivable menu. The Accounts Receivable invoice entry system comes into view. On the left-hand side of the screen, we can insert, change, and delete different batches that we can use to enter and process our accounts receivable invoices. More information regarding the upkeep of these batches is available in the training session on entering and processing accounts receivable trade invoices. Once we have highlighted the desired batch, the list box on the right-hand side displays all the unposted invoices that have been entered into the batch. We can insert a new progress billing into the batch by clicking on the Insert button and selecting Progress Billing. Now we see a screen where we can enter this progress billing for the job. The first information asked for is the customer number. We can type in the customer number or click on the ellipsis button to look up one of our customers. We can also pull down the customer name field and select the desired customer from an alphabetic list. Optionally, we could look up a job ID first. If we select a job before entering the customer information, the system will find the customer associated with our selected job and fill in the customer information for us. If we select the customer first, then click the ellipsis button for job lookup, the list of jobs in the job lookup window will be filtered to include only jobs associated with our selected customer. Once we have retrieved the job, JobView will display for us some information about that job. The system shows us the original contract price for the job, the total amount of any change orders, and the current contract price. It will also show us how much has been billed to date, how much has been retained to date, how much is remaining to be billed, and how much has been received. We can continue with our invoice entry process by either clicking or not clicking the Prepaid button. Now, very seldom will we have a prepaid progress billing, but occasionally you may receive the payment before you have had a chance to enter the invoice into the system. Now we can select an invoice date. Notice that when we insert an invoice, today's date will automatically appear. We can change the date by clicking the ellipsis button or typing a new date by hand. When we move to the due date field, the system will calculate the due date by retrieving the due terms information from the customer file. We can now enter the amount of our billing. There are a number of ways to enter the billing amount. First, we can type in a completion percentage. The system will then multiply the percentage by the current contract price, and it will display for us a total billing amount. It will then subtract any prior billings and give us an amount for this invoice. We could also enter the total amount billed to date. The system will once again subtract prior billings and give us this invoice amount. Or we could enter the dollar amount of this billing. The system will then calculate both the percent complete and the total billings by adding the prior billings to our current billing amount. For retention, we can enter in a percentage rate or a dollar amount, and the system will calculate the other field. The system will then display for us the net invoice amount at the bottom of the screen, and our invoice entry is complete. Click the OK button to save the billing information. At this point, our progress billing is ready to be processed. We can tag our invoice batch by clicking the Tag column or pressing the Tag button. Now these buttons at the bottom of the window can be used to process our tagged batch. The first button is used to change dates in the tagged batches. This button will very seldom be used with progress billings, because progress billings are not usually inserted into a repeating batch. The Print Invoices in Tagged Batches button allows us to generate a copy of this invoice to send to a customer, either in an envelope or using email. We click this button and the system allows us to set limits for printing invoices. More information about actually printing our invoices is available in the training session on trade invoice entry and processing. We could also click this button to print a copy of our highlighted billing. This button can print a proof listing of our tagged batch. Once again, more information about proof listing our batches is available in the training session on trade invoice entry and processing. Lastly, we can use this button to post our accounts receivable invoice batch. We click the posting button and the system asks for a fiscal period number. The fiscal period displayed by default is the current fiscal period, although we may change this to a different fiscal period if we desire. Any valid open fiscal period will do. The system will then go through and process and post our accounts receivable invoices and generate our posting reports. When the posting has been completed, the system then gives us one last chance to look over our reports and make sure that the numbers are accurate. At this point, we can either finish the posting or click the Undo button, at which time the data will revert to the state it was in just before we clicked the posting button. This concludes this session on entering and processing accounts receivable progress billings.